1941 from Troop 9. And Wheeler was also the scoutmaster for Troop 9 in 1951 and 1952. So thank you. I would like to, our next speaker, before Bishop Willimon was the professor of practice of Christian ministry at Duke Divinity School. Before he was the dean of the chapel at Duke University and recognized as one of America's most best known and most influential preachers. Bishop Willimon received his Eagle Scout badge from Troop 9 in 1960 under the scoutmaster Arthur Delaney, who was a scoutmaster from 1956 to 1969 in Troop 9. Bishop Willimon.
Yeah. It's wonderful to be here with Bill Orders, who would hire me in the summers, and also with Governor Riley, who was such a wonderful influence on those of us growing up here in Buncombe Street Church. It was suggested that I would give a short reminiscence of memories in Troop 9. A lot of those memories have been suppressed, and some of the funnest memories. And but it is, interesting looking back on your life about things that influence you from your earlier life. And looking back, I have to say that one of my most vivid memories was when I got to represent Troop 9 at the National Jamboree in Colorado Springs in 1960. And we took a long trek from Greenville by aged buses to Colorado Springs. And my role was, I was a troop scribe. And I said, what does a troop scribe do? And they said, you will send back periodic dispatches to the scout office about your trip. So I dutifully, every day or so, would write back a report on what the troop had been doing and what things were going on. And unknown to me, the scout executive, Mr. Stanley, was passing on these dispatches to the Greenville News. And they were publishing these. And it was not only my first experience in publication, but my first experience in realizing you should be careful what you say in print that is disseminated out in the rest of the world. And I made one phone call back home during the 3 weeks we were away, because it took a week to get there, and then you were a week at the Jamboree, then a week getting back. But when I made my one phone call back home, my mother said to me, you've been appearing in the local paper. And I said, in what way? And she said, well, your write-ups. And she said, remember now, I've got to live in Greenville. You're eventually leaving. And I said, well, what do you mean? And said, just be more careful. But anyway, when I got back to Greenville and the bus stopped at the Boy Scout office, all the buses stopped, there was a reporter from the Greenville News standing there and saying to me, we feel just the same way about President Eisenhower that you do. And I said, what? And he said, well, that was a great thing about that, where you said he appeared at the Boy Scout Jamboree and all of you agreed that he looked way too old to be out in public. And so anyway, that was my launch into publication. And I remember the night that the scout executive, Mr. Stanley, was very money conscious. And so he tried to keep us in inexpensive hotels. And I remember we stayed in a hotel in Kansas City that just looked ancient and dirty. And but we also noted it was strange that there didn't seem to be anybody in the hotel except for young women walking around there. And so the Scout executives got us all together, and they said, we did not know that this was this kind of hotel. And I said, what kind of hotel? And he said, you know that a Scout is reverent and honest, and that a Scout would not be in any situation of adultery. So I, having grown up in Buncombe Street Methodist Church, leaned over to a Baptist and I said, what is adultery? And so anyway, they later, one of the older Scouts told me what kind of hotel we were staying in, and I dutifully reported all this back to Greenville about, we've seen a part of Kansas City that a lot of people don't get to see. And so anyway, it was a memorable experience. And I was glad that Art Delaney's name was mentioned because there is a special place in heaven for the grown-ups that give up their weekends and their lives to scouting. These are very powerful people over the lives of the young. And as I indicated in the sermon, I think the scouting movement is amazing in its ability to keeping itself interesting to each new generation. And I got to be the scoutmaster when I was in seminary, an assistant scoutmaster of an inner city Boy Scout troop in New Haven, Connecticut. And these were boys, most of whom were bringing themselves up. They didn't have parents in the home. A couple of the boys had 14 and 15, had children of their own. And before the scout meeting, I was the one who stood in the door and had everybody check their weapons before they came to the scout meeting. And I would stand there as those boys would come in, and I'd look there, and we always had 1 or 2 pistols, brass knuckles. Everybody had a switchblade. And yet they were meeting there, and the thing that every one of those tough inner city boys wanted to do was they wanted to go on a camping trip. They wanted to go out camping, and they had heard that that's what Boy Scouts did. So we worked to get them all ready to go on a camping trip, and I remember I was the one to teach about cooking, food. And so I said, now we got these menus here, and we'll buy the food, and then we'll cook it over a campfire. And I was giving them instructions. And in the patrol I was working with, these were 12, 13-year-old boys. Every single one of those boys prepared all the meals for his family every day. They didn't have parents at home. Many of them looked after younger brothers and sisters. And anyway, we went camping in a state park in Connecticut. And that night around the campfire, we did what did Troop 9. We sang some songs, and then I told a ghost story. And I told a ghost story that I remember being told to me at Troop 9. And so then we told everybody, it's 11 o'clock, everybody's got to go to bed, everybody get in your tents. And so about 5 after 11, the toughest, meanest boy in the scout troop, who had a police record as long as your arm, came up there, and he had tears streaming down his face, and he said, "Can I stay in your tent tonight? We think we heard something in the woods." And we ended up with like a 3-man pup tent with 9 boys from the inner city of New Haven, Connecticut, shaking all over and holding on to each other, and out in the woods. And I thought, scouting really is amazing. And so I thank Troop 9. It is amazing that an institution like this could keep going for 90 years. And I thank also Buncombe Street Church that has kept finding a way to keep this troop going over the years. It's quite an accomplishment. After to celebrate the 50th anniversary of scouting in Colorado City, I got to celebrate the 100th anniversary of scouting by being invited down to Dallas, Texas, to the scout headquarters, Irving, Texas, and to speak. And they said, why don't you come down and get your old scout uniform and wear it down here? And I said, I have passed that scout uniform 6 sizes ago. No, I don't wear knee socks anywhere these days. And but it's a great experience. Thank you for what you've done, Troop 9, and may you have another great century.
Thank you very much, Bishop Willimon. Before Governor Dick Riley was Secretary of Education, before he was the governor of the great state of South Carolina, he was a Boy Scout. In fact, Governor Riley's mother helped start Cub Scout Pack 9, Governor Riley. You have the mic down there.
I'm really honored to be here at this celebration, and I'm so proud of Troop 9 and all of the leaders, and I know Rob and Tim, who the assistant scoutmaster, and thank you all, and all the scouts and the parents and all who are here. This is really a fine celebration. I'm so pleased we have Bishop Willimon back here at Buncombe Street, and after hearing his wonderful sermon this morning, I started to take my tie off, but I left it on. I have 2 regrets, if I can take just a minute to tell you about. I've had a lot of great things happen to me through life, but one thing I did when I was deciding to get into the Scouts, Troop 19 was right near my home, and all my neighbors were joining Troop 19. It was a good troop. I had their own cabin and all. So I joined Troop 19. And I'd come to Buncombe Street every Sunday, and I felt guilty. So I'm just confessing that to you all. I was in Troop 19, very active all the way. And now I'm going to tell you about my second regret. I got into high school and was playing football, and I worked at the drugstore at night. And I drifted on out of my troop activity. And I was a life scout, Bill. I lacked 2 or 3 merit badges, and I never got them. I'll tell you, one of them was civics. I ended up getting the civics education into the national goals for American education for all children later on. And I later got in to be a Silver Beaver and all of that because of my support of scouting, Wateree Council in Columbia when I was governor. And I wanted to confess both of those regrets. And I want to urge all of you, you younger guys who are almost Eagles or who you're halfway there, please realize how important that is. And congratulating all you Eagles here, it is very, very important. I wanted to mention my mother. I'm very proud of that, was one of the first, and they say the first, pack mother. Is that right? Pack mother. Here at Troop 9. And she was very proud of that. And I remember my brother was a Cub Scout at that time, was like 10 years old or so, and they would all come to my house and meet and whatever. And I was very proud of that my mother was hopefully, it said in her obituary, the first den mother in Greenville. So I'm very proud of that. But of all my connections here at Buncombe Street and with all of the Scout movement, I love Camp Old Indian. I was in the Order of the Arrow and all of those things, and was very much involved there. And I congratulate all of you Eagles, and I congratulate everybody in Troop 9 on this 90th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you. George Dickerson was the Scoutmaster of Troop 9 from 1982 to 1989. It was under his leadership that Troop 9 had its first Eagle Scout in almost 20 years. Should be known that Troop 9 has had 78 Eagle Scouts since 1985 and a total of 101 Eagle Scouts in its 90-year history. George Dickerson was really starting point of what scouting is today at Buncombe Street. Ladies and gentlemen, George Dickerson.
Thank you. David told me when he recruited me to come in here and revitalize the troop that I could thank him now or thank him later. He introduced me to my wife here, and we have celebrated our 30th anniversary. So I have many things to thank Buncombe Street for. The other thought I had in mind was when we started the troop again, that we had a salt and pepper troop. A lot of the kids, if parents either worked shifts or were single parents. And so thankfully for Buncombe Street, they had a van, and I would go out and get the scouts in the neighborhoods and bring them here and then take them home, and it was often 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. And Tim may remember this. One night I got back here about 10:30 at night, parking the van. This wasn't here, but there was a little window under the gym, and all of a sudden a person started crawling out from her. Apparently all the homeless in Greenville had decided to camp under the old gym here. And of course I thought I was going to have a heart attack when sort of coming out there. But they had the damage to the lower sanctuary, I believe, sometime before that. Some homeless person had started a fire on the stadium and burned up part of the building. Did about $100,000 worth of damage. So, but anyway, that was one of my recollections of late night ferrying scouts to and from. The other thing that I would like to say is that Tim Poole exemplifies the scouting spirit of serving others. It was my distinct pleasure to get to know him, and just a great, wonderful friend. And I told Les Pritchard when I passed the baton on to him that if he had any questions about scouting, ask Tim Poole because he would set him right. Thank you so much.
Speaking of Les Pritchard, Eagle Scout Les Pritchard was the Scoutmaster of Troop 9 from 1989 to 1999. Among many other things, Les is responsible for starting the troop big trips, the chicken dinner, the Climb High Guy logo. Les Pritchard.
Well, let's see. I'll try it again. Well, I thought I did. Yeah, it's working great. Yeah, I was waiting for that comment about, I'm standing up. Don't worry about it. And, we've got a lot of things to thank David for. David got me involved in Scouts when I filled out one of those time talent pieces. And I sent it in on Sunday, and on Monday morning he called me. He said, we got a job for you. And I said, well, okay. So here we are. And also I can thank David for almost causing a divorce in my family, for having to go on a camping trip every month and leaving Bobby with 3 kids. So thank you, David. I appreciate that. But we did get a special rate with a counselor at that time. And I guess or noticed that it's a dark and stormy night out there. Great story, and a lot of great memories that I have. And one of the first ones actually has to do with George. We went to a camporee, and my first time, I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit self-conscious because, George has done this before, and and people are walking up and say, well, where's George? I said, well, he's retired. He's moving on to other things. And he said, oh, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. But, you know, if George were here, he would have done these tents a lot better than what you did. Well, it was a great intro into scouting. Just a couple things. And Will mentioned about Buncombe Street continuing the tradition of scouting. And I'll tell you, and I'll give some credit to John Redmond. Were it not for him being on the building committee and my pestering him for space, and space was rare and still is in these days, and we were able to get the scout hut, and it has grown with the troop, and it has allowed the troop to grow. So we're blessed for John having done that for us. Another quick thought. The Climb High logo here. I'm going to tell you how that came about, because I don't know that many people know this. I was in Traveler's Rest, and I went to Sunrift to get something outdoors, looking for my scout discount. Imagine that, yeah. Anyway, so I happened to look up on the wall, and I saw this. What you're looking at now is it's a sign for some company. And I said, well, guys, I'm with Troop 9. Would you mind? Do you think we could use that? You know, because we're looking for some kind of symbol, something to go with. And the guy says, I don't know. It's probably copyrighted. He said, hold on a second. I know the distributor of this company. Let me call Naz. He called, and literally in 30 minutes he said, no, it's okay. We're getting ready to change logos. So that's how that logo came about. And thanks to Bill Mulligan, who is the consummate shop teacher, was able to transfer that to so many different things. And so I've just been blessed to have been part of the troop, to have one of the things that I said when we came on board was, now if we can't have fun as adults, we're going to shut this thing down. So the goal was always to have fun. So if the adults had fun, the kids were going to have fun. And I think Rob is doing that, and I'm just so pleased to see that go forward. There's something else, too, I don't think anybody else knows. It's a great tradition. And I'd like for you guys to participate in this if you would. And not many people know this either. Today is Rob's birthday. So I'd like for everybody to stand up and let's sing happy birthday to Rob Foy. Everybody up, please.
Chris, too. Where's Chris?
Oh, and Chris. I mean, they came out of at the same time, so they demand equal responsibility. Okay, here we go. A big happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rob and Chris. Happy birthday to you. And if Rosemary is listening, I won't be able to sing this weekend.
Thank you very much. Oops. Back on. Thank you very much, Les. Bill Mulligan was the scoutmaster of Troop 9 from 1999 to 2010. It was during Bill's tenure as scoutmaster that Troop 9 grew from a small to medium-sized troop to a large troop. Among many other things, it was under Bill's tenure that Mayor Badge University, which was started for the district and now at the council level. Bill's handiwork is shown in the troop's decorations, drawings, and paintings. It was about the time that Bill became a scoutmaster, or shortly before he became scoutmaster, that Troop 9 moved into the scout hut, as Les had mentioned. Bill Mulligan.
Is it working? Okay. I would just like to start off by saying I got involved with Troop 9 when my son, who's sitting right here, was looking for a scout troop. And as all good Cub Scouts do, you go looking around different troops. And we went to several troops in the community. And we right away felt at home here at Troop 9. And so I've been here ever since. And so I just want to thank everybody for the 17 years I had of good times with Troop 9. And I would like to take an opportunity to thank Buncombe Street for being very supportive of the troop with facilities and their support in just so many ways, and particularly, David Stubbs, who sort of wrangles that. Appreciate all of those things. And I'd like to take the rest of my time to do something one last time. For those of you of the age of when I was a Scoutmaster, we used to have Scoutmaster minutes at the end of the meetings. And for those who aren't involved with scouting, in a lot of troops, it's traditional to have a Scoutmaster's minute at the end of the meeting, a time of reflection and a thought by the Scoutmaster to leave with the boys. And I learned this technique from a scouter that I know and got this from him when I went to Outdoor Leadership Skills many, many years ago. So what I would say to the boys is, I need somebody to just give me something. Somebody, I need somebody. Harry, this is not set up, by the way. Okay, he's giving me some keys. Okay? And Harry, make sure I give these back to you. All right. Keys are used for a lot of different things. They're used for opening things and they're used for locking things. Some of us have lots of keys, some of us have a few keys. But those keys are important. And whether it's a physical key that opens up a physical lock or a key that opens up your spirit and your life and personality to other people, use those keys, use them well, and open up to other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Rob Foy, the current Scoutmaster of Troop 9 since 2010, attained his rank of Eagle from Troop 9 in 1996 under Scoutmaster Les Pritchard. Under Rob's leadership, the current mural on the side of the Scout hut was completed. The Girl Scout troop was started, and more high-adventure camping trips were implemented. Rob Foy.
Well, first I'd like to thank Les for that payback for many, many times. For y'all who don't know, when every time we went anywhere, we'd always tell him it was Les's birthday. So he probably got that song 300 times in his life, so thanks. But I'd like to say it's a joy for me to see everyone here today. I think it's a real testament to the positive impact this troop has had on so many people's lives. Chris and I joined this troop when we were 9 years old, and a word I've heard constantly to describe it is the word family. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a word better than that. When I was asked if I'd like to take over as Scoutmaster after Bill, that was one of the main reasons I instantly jumped on that opportunity. The other one being that Les and Tim had such a positive impact in my life growing up that I wanted that opportunity to pass it forward. In fact, Les is one of the first people I told when I found out I was going to be taking over as Scoutmaster. And as I've done many times in my life, I said, Les, do you have any advice? And he says, yes. He said, on camping trips, pack a whole lot of Tylenol. So, which was good advice. But, this troop is fun. I love it to death. And I think it being so fun is a reason we've stayed as big and as successful as we have all these years. One of the main things I always tell Scouts today is we pretty much follow the same three basic principles we had when Chris and I joined. And that's, we're going to be safe, we're going to have fun, we're going to be prepared for the fact that something is not going to go according to plan. So when you cover those things, normally goes pretty good. So I think we'll have another good 90 years in front of us.
Thank you, Rob. Ike Maddox has been the committee chairman of Troop 9 since 2005. Ike has been responsible for empowering Troop 9 Scouts with more accountability when it comes to advancement, having the Scouts request their own board of reviews, providing better organization, and getting the parents of Troop 9 more involved. Ike Maddox.
It's a pleasure being here today and seeing the good turnout that we have had. Reflecting back on what Governor Riley had to say about getting this close to Eagle, there's a lot of us that are leaders of these boys now that were in that same situation. we got detained, we got distracted, we started driving, and then we found the invention of the female species as we were young. And our eagle sort of just flew right on out the window of the car as we were driving down the road. We know what it's like not to reach that goal. Being just a couple of merit badges away, myself and an Eagle project, I didn't make the rank of Eagle. Thank goodness my oldest son, he achieved it and got through there, and my youngest son is right on his heels here. But we will never be able to experience what it's like to be an Eagle Scout. But we have the opportunity to tell our young scouts now, as they're requesting their board of reviews and coming up, and we're exchanging ideas about how well they have received the knowledge that they have gotten going through the different ranks. We have the opportunity to encourage them to keep going, because we can tell them what it's like not to reach that goal. But only an Eagle Scout can tell you what it's like to be an Eagle Scout. I came into this troop about 10 years ago under the leadership of Bill Mulligan. And no less Pritchard, but he was not involved when I came in. But I can tell you, Bill Mulligan has been a great influence on so many of our boys, because he was so tall, intimidating, and so boisterous that the kids were afraid to get out of line. And so, he had a great knack of keeping the kids in line, just because all you have to do is look at them and say, "What are you doing?" And they would immediately stop and think, "What am I doing?" He had an uncanny ability of, on camping trips, kids are going to go around. They love building fires, they love throwing knives, and they love throwing sticks and rocks and anything else. So Mr. Mulligan devised a test that if you can pass my test of throwing rocks or sticks, then you have my permission to do it. And then he would pick out this little small target, probably 30 feet away, and say, "You go gather 10 sticks or 10 rocks, and if you can hit that target 10 out of 10 times, then I know that you're qualified to throw rocks, and therefore I will tell you you can't throw rocks." And so that nipped that in the bud real quick, right there. So, and he's also a wealth of information on camping stories and camping protocol when you're hiking out in the woods, and it's nature calls and you have to go to the bathroom. He's got the correct protocol for the different styles and methods that you can do that. So anytime you feel free and you want to be enlightened and know what to do in the woods when there's nobody around, Bill Mulligan is your man. So he can enlighten you on that. Backbone of the troop that I have noticed since I came in is Tim Poole. He literally is the strength, the backbone. He puts in more time and effort than anybody. I don't know how he keeps a job, because every time he's always over here at the church and at the scout hut. But he's very fortunate to have a employer that is very well adapted to Tim's techniques and his time frames and everything else, and allows him the opportunity to donate to scouting and then go to work afterwards. So you'll see Tim here at all kind of hours of the night on that. But after he leaves here, he goes to work and usually stays there most of the night, and then gets up, goes to work, comes and does scouts. But it has been a pleasure being the committee chairman here for Troop 9 and watching these young kids that come in without a lot of direction, not knowing exactly what they want to do, but they want to be in scouting. They want to go camping. They want to build fires. They want to carry a knife, and they want to have fun. And that's what Troop 9 has strived so much to do, is to make them have fun and educate them in good, strong Christian beliefs and correct, safe protocol when we're out on trips. And for that, I have to applaud all of the leaders and the church for giving us the support that we need to carry on those duties. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Ike. Before I introduce our next speaker, little commercial message, if I may, please. Imagine that. Troop 9 is you have a order form on the tables. It's Troop 9 slideshow order form. So please, if you want quantities of the slideshow, just fill out this form and all the appropriate boxes. So please do that. It's a very memorable experience for 90th anniversary. Thank you. David Stubbs, Buncombe Street United Methodist Church representative to Troop 9 since 1979. David is responsible for getting George Dickinson to come over as Scoutmaster Troop 9 in 1982. David has supported the scouting program in every way. David's son Derek, who's I believe sitting here today, attained rank of Eagle Scout in Troop 9 in 2001. Without David's support through the church, Troop 9 would not be what it is today. David Stubbs.
I would like for George Dickinson and Les Pritchard and Bill Mulligan and Rob Foy and Ike Maddox to join me up on the stage, please, sir. And while they're on their way up here, Governor Riley, I want to tell you that I'm glad you didn't get that Civics Merit Badge, because if you had, we'd have Secret Service all over the place because you'd have been President of the United States. I have called these men to stand with me because we share one great gift in common. In fact, I believe most of us in this room share in the same gift. To begin with, we have to thank the one man who was responsible for bringing this gift to us, Mr. George Dickinson. He did a favor for a good friend back in 1982, and he came. He came to Buncombe Street. He became the Scoutmaster of Troop 9, and he brought with him 14 boys. George saved Troop 9 during the most critical time in its history, and we all owe a great deal of thanks to George Dickinson for saving this troop. So you may think that George's gift to us is the troop, but no, that's not it. One of the boys he brought with him was an enthusiastic, especially about scouting, almost bubbly 14-year-old kid. The gift to all of us was that kid. That boy's name that George brought with him was Tim Poole. Now I want you to take a look at these guys standing here. Our last 4 Scoutmasters of Troop 9. I doubt that there is any troop that enjoys the wonderful and effective leadership that each of these men have brought to this organization. I could tell you glowing stories about each one of them. Some of them they probably wouldn't want me to tell you. And how they have helped mold this troop, carry this troop into this glorious present it enjoys today. But I believe every one of these men would agree with me that the real center of the troop, the heart and soul of the troop, is Tim Poole. He was our first Eagle in 20 years, and when he earned that award in 1985. And since then, since 1985, he has served tirelessly for this troop, for the district, and the council. So how do we measure the positive influence Tim has dispensed to our boys and their families? How do we consider the considerable amount of time Tim has spent on our troops' behalf in paperwork and planning? How do we begin to size up the size of our own hearts that have all been swelled because God placed Tim into our lives? Well, we can't. We can try to do something that shows Tim how much we love and cherish him. So we're going to try to do that right now. So Tim, that's your cue to come on up here. Tim, by the unanimous decision of the Board of Trustees of the Buncombe Street United Methodist Church, our Scout area, that place where our kids come to learn the skills they need to be physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight, that oasis just beyond those doors in the middle of Greenville where all the right things are taught. Our Scout Hut, the place that boys and girls of all ages call their Scout home, from this day forward will be named the Timothy M. Pull Scout Hut. Now, according to our agenda, it's now Tim's turn to speak. So go ahead, Tim.
I just want to say thank y'all.
Get over here.
Appreciate it.
Get over here right here.
It has been an honor, and I do appreciate everything. But boys, y'all the most important thing to me. God bless you. Thank you for doing that. I've never heard Tim speak before.
I hope they got it on recording because I think they got it. I remember.
Before I ask Associate Pastor Buncombe Street Joe Kate to do our closing prayer, a couple reminders. There's plenty of cake over there, lots of cake over there, and I would also like those who can to help stay after with the cleanup and taking down the chairs. Thank you. Joe.
Heavenly Father, when we consider our blessings of this day, we are entirely grateful for Scout leaders, for dedicated parents, for boys and girls that want to improve themselves. We thank you for all the time that we've had. We thank you for the time that is ahead of us. We thank you for the hands that prepared this meal and blessed our bodies. We thank you for safe travel, and we ask for safe travel home. Bless us. Warm our hearts with these memories and help us to keep them going forward from today. Amen.